You never forget the feeling of being the new kid. It's not just awkward, it's isolating. Like walking into a movie halfway through. Everyone already knows their role, their lines, their place, except you. For Daniel Carter, that feeling wasn't just uncomfortable. It was the beginning of something far worse. The first day at Westbrook High felt colder than it should have. Not the weather, it was late August, still warm, but something about the hallways. The way people looked at him briefly, then looked away. Conversations stopping just a second too early. Laughter that didn't quite reach him. Daniel adjusted the strap of his backpack and checked his schedule again. Third period, lunch. Great. The one time of day where being alone is impossible to hide. The cafeteria was louder than he expected. Hundreds of voices blending into one overwhelming noise. Chairs scraping, trays clattering. Groups already formed, tight circles of familiarity. Daniel stood there for a moment, frozen, scanning for an empty seat. There wasn't one. Not a single one. Every table was full. Every seat taken. Except, in the far corner of the cafeteria near the windows, there was a table with 2 empty seats. 2 boys sat there. Identical. Same dark hair, same posture, same unsettling stillness. Twins. They weren't talking, just sitting there quietly watching the room. Watching people. Watching him. Daniel hesitated. But what choice did he have? "Hey, mind if I sit here?" he asked. The twins looked at each other. Not in a normal way. It was synchronized, like they didn't need to speak. Then one of them smiled. "Yeah, go ahead." Their voices were calm, too calm. "I'm Alex," the one on the left said. "Eli," said the other. Daniel introduced himself, sitting down slowly. At first, everything felt normal. They asked where he moved from, what classes he had, basic stuff. But something was off. They didn't blink much. And when Daniel spoke, they leaned in slightly, listening too closely. Like every word mattered more than it should. "So you live nearby?" Eli asked. "Yeah, like 10 minutes away." "Walking distance?" Daniel nodded. Alex smiled again. "That's perfect." Perfect. The word lingered in Daniel's mind longer than it should have. By the end of lunch, they had invited him to hang out. "Nothing crazy," Alex said casually. "Just a place we go sometimes. Quiet, no one bothers us." Daniel hesitated. But again, what choice did he have? Being alone was worse. "Yeah," he said finally, "sure." That night at exactly 9:12 p.m., Daniel received a text. "Alex *, you coming?" He stared at the message. There was something about it that felt impatient. Like they were expecting him. Waiting. The walk was quiet. Too quiet. Streetlights flickered as he passed under them, his footsteps echoing faintly against the pavement. He checked his phone again. Location shared. A small wooded area, just beyond an old, nearly forgotten park. Daniel slowed down. "Why here?" he muttered under his breath. But he kept walking. The entrance to the woods wasn't obvious. Just a narrow break between trees, barely visible in the darkness. His phone buzzed again. Eli *, we're inside. Come straight, don't turn. Don't turn. Daniel frowned. That was a strange thing to say. But before he could think too much about it, he stepped inside. The air changed immediately. Cooler. Heavier. The sounds of the outside world gone. No cars. No distant voices. Just the crunch of leaves beneath his shoes. "Alex," he called out softly. No response. "Eli." Nothing. He checked the location again. He was close. very close. Then, a sound. Footsteps. Behind him. Daniel turned quickly. Guys. Silence. The footsteps stopped. His heart started beating faster. Very funny, he said, forcing a laugh. You got me. No answer. Then, the footsteps started again. Faster. Closer. Daniel's body reacted before his mind could. He turned and started walking back. Then faster. Then, running. Branches scratched against his arms as he pushed forward, his breath quickening, uneven. Behind him, the footsteps matched his pace. No, they were gaining. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his shoulder. Hard, fingers digging into his skin. Got you. The voice was right behind his ear. Cold. Too close. Daniel reacted instantly. He twisted, breaking free just enough to stumble forward. Another hand reached for him. But he ducked, adrenaline surging, legs moving faster than he ever thought possible. Don't run, the voice shouted. But Daniel didn't stop. He couldn't. He burst out of the trees, stumbling onto the pavement, lungs burning. He didn't look back. Not once. He just ran. When he finally reached home, he slammed the door shut behind him, locking it immediately. His hands were shaking. His neck burned. He rushed to the bathroom mirror and froze. There were marks, deep red scratches across his skin, like someone had tried to hold him down. His parents didn't take it lightly. Police were mentioned. The school was notified. Names were given. Alex, Eli. But here where it gets strange. The next day, they weren't there. Not in class. Not in the cafeteria. Nowhere. Daniel asked around. Showed pictures. Descriptions. Nobody recognized them. No one had seen them. Not even the teachers. It's probably just a misunderstanding, the principal said. But Daniel knew what he saw. He knew what happened. Days passed. Then a week. Slowly, things started to feel normal again. Almost. Until one night. Daniel woke up suddenly. No reason. Just awake. The room felt different. Colder. He sat up slowly. And that's when he noticed it. His window was open. The curtains moved gently with the wind. But Daniel knew something wasn't right. He always closed it before sleeping. Always. His heart began to pound. Slow. Heavy. Then, a sound. A soft creak. From inside the room. Daniel's eyes shifted toward his door. It was slightly open. Just enough to leave a narrow gap. And in that gap, something moved. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough. A shape. Standing. Watching. Daniel couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. His body frozen in place as the silence stretched unbearably. Then, the door moved. Just a little. And a voice whispered, "Found you." Cut to black. There's a moment. Right before something goes wrong. When your instincts try to warn you. A quiet voice in your head. A feeling in your chest. A subtle shift in the air. Most people ignore it. Because nothing has happened yet. Because everything still looks asterisk normal. Emily Reyes learned the hard way. That normal can be the most dangerous illusion of all. It was the kind of day students usually loved. The sky was dark, clouds thick and heavy, thunder rolling somewhere in the distance. A storm day. The kind that made classes feel shorter, more relaxed, less serious. Last period, gym. Emily hated gym. But on days like this, it was easy. The teacher usually let them play volleyball, talk, or just waste time. That day, though, something was different. "All right, listen up," a voice called out. It wasn't their usual teacher. Standing near the bleachers was a substitute. Older, mid to late 50s, gray hair, tired eyes. But something about him didn't feel tired. It felt watchful. He scanned the room as he called attendance. When he got to Emily's name, he paused, just for a second. But it was enough. He looked up at her. Really looked. Not like a teacher checking a student. More like studying her. "Emily Reyes." She raised her hand slowly. "That's me." The substitute nodded, but his eyes lingered longer than they should have. Then he moved on. At first, she told herself it was nothing. People look. It happens. But throughout the class, she noticed it again, and again, and again. Whenever she turned, his eyes were already there, watching. By the time the bell rang, a quiet discomfort had settled deep in her chest. The kind you can't explain. The kind you try to ignore. The locker room was nearly empty. Most students had already changed and left. Rain tapped softly against the small windows near the ceiling. The lights flickered slightly. Emily walked to her locker and spun the dial. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. She frowned. Tried again. Slower this time. Careful. Still nothing. "Come on," she muttered under her breath. She checked the number. It was right. She tried again. And again. And again. The lock wouldn't budge. A sigh escaped her lips. There was only one option. She stepped back into the hallway. The gym was nearly empty now. Just the echo of distant footsteps. The substitute stood near the equipment closet. Waiting. "Excuse me," Emily said, trying to sound casual. "My locker won't open." He turned slowly. Too slowly. He said, tilting his head slightly. "That's unfortunate." Something about the way he said it made her uneasy. But she pushed it aside. "Do you have the combinations list?" she asked. He smiled. Not warmly. Not kindly. Just a smile. "I do," he said. "Give me a minute." Emily waited outside the office. The hallway felt longer now. Quieter. The storm outside growing louder. After a minute, he returned, holding a small notebook. "Let's take a look," he said. They walked back into the locker room together. By now it was empty. Completely. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. Emily suddenly became very aware of the silence. He walked up to her locker, dialed the combination. Once, twice, 3 times. Click. Nothing. He said softly. He tried again. Slower this time. More deliberate. Still nothing. Emily shifted uncomfortably. "I can just come back tomorrow," she said quickly. "No," he replied. "Too quickly. We'll figure it out." He stepped closer. Closer than necessary. Emily froze slightly. His hand rested on her shoulder. Lightly at first. But it didn't move. "It's probably just stuck," he said. His voice was calm. But there was something underneath it. Something that made her chest tighten. He tried the combination again. Still nothing. Then, His hand moved, slowly, from her shoulder, down. Emily's breath caught, to her upper back. She stepped forward instinctively, creating distance. "It's okay," she said quickly. "I'll just leave it." But he didn't move. Instead, he laughed softly. "We're almost there." Almost where? The question flashed through her mind like lightning. Then, click, the locker opened. He smiled. "There we go." Emily didn't wait. She grabbed her bag quickly. "Thanks," she said, already turning away. But as she walked, she felt it. His eyes, still on her, watching. She waited, just outside the locker room, listening. The sound of the door closing. Then silence. Good. He was gone. Emily stepped back inside, heart still racing. She changed quickly, faster than usual, her hands slightly shaking. Then, the lights went out. Complete darkness. Her breath stopped. What the? The room was pitch black. No warning. No flicker. Just gone. Her heart began to pound. Loud. Vast. "Hello," she called out. No response. Then, a faint sound. Footsteps. Somewhere in the room. Slow. Deliberate. Emily's chest tightened. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, a voice. "Relax." It was him. Somewhere in the darkness. "I just want to help." Help. Emily's instinct screamed. Run. She grabbed her bag blindly and moved. Fast. Toward the exit. Her hands brushed against lockers as she navigated through the dark. Then, a shape, standing near the exit, blocking it. Her heart nearly stopped. A faint light from the hallway illuminated just enough to see his face, smiling. "Wait," he said. Emily didn't. She turned, ran toward the back exit instead, pushed the door open, and burst outside into the rain. Cold water soaked her instantly. But she didn't stop. She ran, down the street, past the school, far enough, until the building was no longer in sight. Only then did she slow down, her body trembling, her mind racing. What just happened? That night, she didn't tell anyone. Not her parents, not her friends. Because how do you explain something like that? How do you say, "I think something almost happened to me," when you don't even know what it was? But deep down, she knew that wasn't normal. That wasn't an accident. That was planned. And she got away. The next day, the substitute was gone. No explanation. No announcement. Just gone. Emily tried to forget it. Tried to move on. But weeks later, something happened. Something small, but enough. She opened her locker, and inside, there was a piece of paper, folded, carefully. Her hands trembled as she opened it. 3 words, written in messy handwriting. "I see you." She looked around. The hallway was full. Normal. Loud. Alive. But suddenly, it didn't feel safe anymore. Because whoever wrote that was still there. Somewhere. Watching. There are places in every school that no one talks about. Not because they're forbidden. Not because they're locked. But because Everyone just knows not to go there. The lower level, the storage halls, the forgotten rooms beneath everything else. Places where sound doesn't travel properly, where lights flicker just a little too often, where time feels slower. For Marcus Hale, that place wasn't just a rumor. It became a nightmare he couldn't explain. Marcus wasn't the kind of student who got into trouble. Quiet, focused, the kind of kid teachers trusted without question. He was in the school band, not because he loved it, but because it was easy. Show up, practice, get a good grade, move on. But that 1 week, everything changed. He had missed 2 practice sessions. Not intentionally, just life getting in the way. But in band class, attendance mattered. 2 missed sessions, Mr. Dalton said, adjusting his glasses. That drops your grade. Marcus frowned. Is there any way I can make it up? There was a pause, a hesitation. Then Mr. Dalton nodded slowly. There's a storage level downstairs, he said. Practice rooms. You can use one during lunch. I'll mark it as a session. Marcus felt relieved. Thanks, sir. But as he turned to leave, Mr. Dalton added something. Make sure you close the door behind you. The way he said it, it lingered. The next day, during lunch, Marcus made his way toward the basement. The entrance was easy to miss. A narrow staircase near the back of the music hall. No signs, no students, just a door, slightly worn. He pushed it open. The air changed instantly. Cooler. Still, the sounds from upstairs faded with each step down. Until finally, there was nothing, just silence. At the bottom of the stairs was a long hallway, dimly lit, rows of small storage rooms on both sides, each door slightly different, some open, some closed, some barely hanging on their hinges. Marcus swallowed. Just a quick session, he muttered. He stepped into one of the rooms, closed the door behind him. The room was small, barely enough space for a chair, a stand, and a few stacked boxes. He placed his instrument down, took out his phone, and sat. He didn't feel like practicing. Not really. So he scrolled, watched videos, let time pass. Minutes went by. Then, the lights went out. Complete darkness. Marcus froze. What the? He stood up quickly, fumbling toward the door. He flipped the light switch. Up, down, again. Nothing. His heart began to beat faster. Probably just a power issue, he whispered. But his voice didn't sound convincing. He opened the door slowly. The hallway was darker than before. Only faint light leaking in from the stairwell far away. Marcus stepped out, and that's when he heard it. A sound. Dragging. Slow. Heavy. Somewhere down the hall. Marcus turned his head, trying to locate it. Then, another sound. Breathing. Not normal breathing. Louder. Irregular. Almost animalistic. Marcus's chest tightened. Hello, he called out. The sound stopped. Silence returned. For a moment, everything felt still again. Then, a door creaked open. At the far end of the hallway, Marcus squinted, trying to see. And then he saw it. A large plastic container, slowly being pushed out into the hallway. No one visible. Just moving on its own. Marcus took a step back. "Nope," he whispered. Instinct took over. He stepped back into his room, closed the door quietly. His heart pounded in his ears. "What is that?" He stood there, listening. The dragging sound continued. Closer now, then stopped. Right outside. Marcus held his breath. Seconds passed. Then, a feeling. You know that feeling. When someone is in the room with you, even if you can't see them. Marcus felt it. Slowly, he reached for his phone, his hand trembling. He pressed the screen. Light filled the room for just a second. And in that second, he saw it. A figure, standing in the corner, not moving, watching him, only a few feet away. Marcus's body locked up. His mind screamed, but no sound came out. The screen went dark again. Silence. Then, a hand on his shoulder. Firm, heavy. Marcus snapped out of it. He lunged forward, grabbing for the door. The handle slipped. Once, twice. Then, he got it, pulled it open, and ran. Behind him, footsteps, vast, chasing. Marcus didn't look back. He sprinted down the hallway, up the stairs, bursting through the door into the music hall. Lights, noise, people, normal, too normal. He didn't stop. He ran straight to Mr. Dalton. "There's someone down there," he shouted. The room went silent. "What?" Mr. Dalton asked. "In the basement, someone's down there." Security was called immediately. 2 officers went down. Minutes passed. Marcus stood there, trying to catch his breath, trying to make sense of what he saw. Finally, the officers returned. "There's no one down there," one of them said. Marcus stared at them. "What do you mean, no one?" They exchanged a glance. "Just some moved equipment, probably fell over when the power went out." "No," Marcus said firmly, "I saw someone." But they didn't argue. They just nodded, politely, like they didn't believe him. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw it. That figure, standing in the corner, waiting. The next day, he was called into the office, asked to explain everything again, every detail. And as he finished, the principal leaned back in his chair. "Marcus," he said calmly, "there are no cameras in that section of the building." Marcus frowned. "What does that have to do with anything?" The principal paused, then said something strange. "Because you're not the first student to report something like this." Marcus's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" The principal didn't answer directly. Instead, he closed the file and said, "Just avoid that area from now on." Weeks passed. The basement was locked. No one allowed down there. No explanation given. Students whispered. Rumors spread. But no one knew the truth. Except Marcus. Because sometimes, late at night, when the school was completely empty, there were reports from nearby houses of lights flickering in the basement where no one was supposed to be. And something else, something worse, scratches found on the inside of the basement doors, like someone or something was trying to get out. There's something about empty schools at night that feels wrong, not quiet in a peaceful way. Not calm, but hollow asterisk, like the building is holding its breath. Classrooms that once echoed with laughter now sit frozen in silence. Hallways stretch longer than they should. Every sound, every step feels louder. And the worst part, you're never really sure if you're alone. For Ryan Malik, that question would turn into something he could never forget. It started as a joke. Let's sneak in tonight. 4 friends. One bad idea. Ryan, Chris, Jordan, and Leo had been hanging out near the school that evening. Talking, laughing, doing what teenagers do. Until Chris pointed toward the back of the building. There's a window down there, he said. Basement level, it's been broken for months. Ryan raised an eyebrow. So, Chris grinned. So we go in. There was a pause. A moment where someone could have said no. Could have stopped it. But no one did. Because it sounded fun. Because it sounded harmless. Because nothing bad ever happens until it does. The sky was dark by the time they made their move. The back of the school was empty. No cars. No lights. No signs of anyone around. The broken window sat just above a small concrete ledge, partially covered by a metal barrier. "All right," Chris whispered, "quick in, quick out." One by one, they climbed, struggled, squeezed through the narrow opening, and dropped inside. The basement. The air smelled different. Dusty. Stale. Ryan landed last. Looking around. "This is it," he said. "Doesn't look like much." And he was right. It wasn't impressive. Just old storage. Boxes. Broken furniture. Dim emergency lights casting weak shadows across the room. But something about it felt off. "Let's check upstairs," Jordan said. No one argued. They found the staircase easily. And slowly, they made their way up. Ryan's hand brushed against the wall as he climbed. Cold. Unnaturally cold. The door at the top creaked as it opened. And just like that, they were inside the school. Dark. Completely dark. Not a single light on. Only the faint red glow of exit signs stretching down endless hallways. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "I thought there'd be at least some lights," he whispered. "Relax," Chris said. "It's just a building." Just a building. Ryan wasn't so sure. They walked down the hallway, their footsteps echoing louder than expected. Every classroom they passed felt different. Empty. But not. Like something was just out of sight. Watching. Waiting. "Yo," Leo said suddenly. "I'm gonna hit the bathroom real quick." "Seriously?" Ryan whispered. "Now?" Leo shrugged. "I'll be fast." He pushed open the bathroom door and disappeared inside. The others waited outside. Seconds passed. Then a minute. Then 2. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "This is taking too long," he muttered. Just as he was about to say something, his phone rang. He frowned. "Chris." "Dude, where are you?" Chris's voice came through. Ryan blinked. "What do you mean? I'm with you guys." Silence. Then, "What?" Ryan's stomach dropped. "I'm literally outside with Jordan and Leo," Chris said. "We're by the field." Ryan's blood ran cold. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking." Behind Ryan, the bathroom door creaked open. Slowly, Ryan turned. Standing in the doorway was someone. Not Leo. Taller, still, and smiling. A smile that didn't belong. Ryan's grip tightened on his phone. "Chris," he whispered, "if you're outside, then whose?" The figure tilted its head and laughed. Not loud, not human, just enough. Ryan didn't wait. He ran down the hallway, heart pounding. Behind him, footsteps. Fast. Too fast. "Run," he screamed into the phone. His voice echoed through the empty halls. He didn't know where he was going. Didn't care. Just away. Away from that thing. He turned a corner. Almost slipped. Caught himself. And saw the stairwell. The basement. Safety. Or at least closer to escape. He rushed down the stairs. "Guys," he shouted. Voices answered. Real voices. Chris. Jordan. Leo. They were there. All of them. Ryan stumbled toward them. Out of breath. "There's someone upstairs," he gasped. They didn't question it. Didn't hesitate. They knew by his face. Something was wrong. "Go," Chris said. One by one, they climbed back out through the window. Ryan was last. As he pulled himself up, he felt it. A presence. Behind him. Close. Too close. He didn't look. He couldn't. He just pushed forward. And escaped. Outside. They didn't stop running. Not until the school was far behind them. Only then did they slow down. "What the hell was that?" Jordan asked. Ryan shook his head. "I don't know, but it was Leo." They all turned to Leo. He looked just as confused. "I never went upstairs," he said. Silence. No one spoke. No one laughed. Because they all knew. Something didn't add up. Then, Chris pointed. "Guys." They turned. Back toward the school. One of the windows. On the lower level. There was someone there. Standing. Watching them. Only half their face visible. The other half hidden in darkness. But the smile was the same. Ryan felt his chest tighten. "That's it," he whispered. "That's what I saw." The figure didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched. "Let's go," Chris said quickly. No one argued. They ran. And this time, they didn't look back. The next day, they went to school. Everything was normal. Too normal. Classes. Teachers. Students. No signs of anything unusual. Ryan tried to convince himself it was just a misunderstanding. A trick of the dark. Fear playing games with his mind. Until he passed the bathroom. The same one. The door slightly open. And inside, on the mirror, written in something dark, "You came back." Ryan froze. His reflection stared back at him. But for just a second, it looked like it smiled, before returning to normal. He never stayed after school again. None of them did. Because whatever they saw that night wasn't just in the building. It was aware. And somehow, it knew them. There's a belief. That school is a safe place. A place where routines protect you. Where adults are in control. Where nothing truly *bad can happen. But what if that belief is the real danger? Because the scariest thing about all these stories isn't what happened. It's how close they were to something worse. And how easily it could have ended differently. This final story is different because it doesn't begin with a mistake. or curiosity, or bad judgment. It begins with something simple. A sound. Noah Khan was the kind of student nobody really noticed. Not invisible, just quiet. The type who sat in the back of the class, turned in assignments on time, kept his head down. The kind of person who sees everything, but says nothing. It was late October, the kind of evening where the sky gets dark too early, where shadows stretch longer than they should. Noah stayed after school that day, not by choice. Detention, for something small, something forgettable. But that one decision kept him there longer than everyone else. By the time detention ended, the school was empty. Completely. The halls silent. The lights dimmed. Noah packed his bag slowly. "You're good to go," the teacher said, already halfway out the door. And just like that, he was alone. Noah stepped into the hallway. The sound of his footsteps echoed unnaturally. Too loud. Too sharp. He adjusted his hoodie and started walking toward the exit. That's when he heard it. A sound. Faint. A locker. Closing. Noah stopped. He looked around. Nothing. "Hello," he called out. No answer. He frowned. Probably just a janitor. He kept walking. But then, another sound. Closer this time. A locker. Opening. Then slowly. Closing again. Noah's pace slowed. Something didn't feel right. Because the sound was too deliberate. Too spaced out. Like someone was testing something. He turned the corner. The hallway stretched long and empty. Rows of lockers lining both sides. All closed. All still. Then, one of them moved. Just slightly. Noah froze. His breath shallow. He stared at the locker. Waiting. Nothing happened. Seconds passed. Then, bang. The locker slammed shut. Noah jumped. "Okay, not funny," he said nervously. But his voice sounded weak. Uncertain. He started walking faster. But the sounds followed. Asterisk bang. Another locker. Further down. Asterisk bang. Closer. Asterisk bang. Right behind him. Noah broke into a run. His backpack bouncing against his shoulders. His breath quickening. The hallway felt longer now. Too long. Like it was stretching. Changing. He reached the end. The exit doors. Relief flooded through him. He grabbed the handle. Pulled. Locked. "What?" he whispered. He tried again. Harder. Nothing. Behind him. Silence. Too much silence. Noah turned slowly. The hallway was empty. Still. Then, a locker door creaked open. Slowly. Halfway down the hall. Something inside it moved. Noah's heart pounded violently. "Who's there?" he shouted. No response. Just darkness inside the locker. Then, a hand. Pale. Gripping the edge of the metal door. Noah stepped back. His legs weak. The door opened wider. And something stepped out. Tall. Too tall. Its head nearly touching the top of the lockers. Its limbs longer than they should be. Its face hidden in shadow. But its smile was wide. Too wide. Noah stumbled back. "No," he whispered. The thing tilted its head. the same way. Every story, the same. "Why are you still here?" it asked. Its voice was wrong, like multiple voices speaking at once. Noah's mind raced. The twins, the locker room, the basement, the hallway, all of it connected. "You weren't supposed to stay this late." The words echoed. Noah turned, ran, back down the hallway. Anywhere, nowhere. The lights flickered violently, lockers slamming on both sides. Bang, bang, bang. Like something was waking up. Noah's vision blurred, tears forming, fear overwhelming everything. He turned another corner and suddenly stopped. The hallway was different. The lockers gone. The walls older, cracked. The air colder. "What is this?" he whispered. Behind him, footsteps, slow, heavy. Noah. His name. It knew his name. He turned slowly and saw it again. Closer now. "You've seen too much." Noah shook his head. I don't know anything." The thing stepped closer. "That's the problem." Suddenly, a loud sound. A bell. The school bell. Ringing. Loud. Violent. Everything froze. The thing stopped moving. The hallway flickered. And just like that, Noah was back, standing in the normal hallway. Lights on. Doors open. Students walking past him. Like nothing happened. Noah stood there, breathing heavily, trying to understand. "Yo, you good?" someone asked. Noah looked around. Everything normal. Too normal. Then, he looked at the lockers. One of them was slightly open. Inside, darkness. And for just a second, a smile. Watching him, Noah never stayed late again. But years later, after graduation, after moving away, after forgetting, he received something. In the mail, no return address. Inside, a photo of a school hallway. Empty, except for one thing. A locker, slightly open. And inside, a note. 3 words. "We never left."